This is WFYI News Now. It's October 2nd, and I'm Abriana Herron. On today's show, nearly 400 people attended a Carmel Clay School Board candidate debate on Monday. 5 people seek election to the Pike Township School Board. And Indiana's new law governing how political candidates digitally alter campaign materials has come into play with Republican gubernatorial candidate Mike Braun.
If something seems implausible, or if it seems like it's getting, an extreme emotional reaction from you, it's always good to take a breath and stop and think.
Those stories coming up. But first, a new partnership program will allow for more traffic signals to be transformed into works of art. WFYI's Samantha Horton reports new funding is available to make the Streetcorner Canvases art program more equitable.
The often dull gray traffic signal boxes are necessary, but unsightly. The Indy Arts Council has worked with local communities over the past decade to revamp the boxes into works of art and create a sense of community for residents. It's part of an effort to reduce crime through art. But these projects do come with a price tag, roughly $1,000 to $1,200 per box. Julia Moore with the Arts Council says by offsetting the cost, she hopes to erase the financial barrier for some neighborhoods.
The community still gets to make all the decisions. They get to pick the artist. They get to figure out the design. It's just that we'll pay the fees.
Moore says the program should be able to fund about 20 boxes. I'm Samantha Horton.
Nearly 400 people attended a Carmel Clay School Board candidate debate on Monday night. As Lee Gaines from WFYI's Education Desk reports, there are 4 candidates vying for 2 open board seats. And while they all believe Carmel schools are excellent, they disagreed over the value of the district's DEI, or Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion initiatives.
Dina Furchman, who is running as a conservative, told the audience she believes every student should be welcomed and loved at school regardless of their background. But Furchman criticized the district's DEI initiatives.
Perhaps it was not the intent of the DEI program that I have heard too many examples of it being used to actually shame white children.
John Shapiro is one of 2 candidates who is not running on his political affiliation. He says it's important for students to learn how to interact with people who are different from them.
Our commitment is to make sure our students are prepared for all different kinds of people, all faiths, all backgrounds, all races, all political ideologies.
The candidates discussed other issues, including their positions on charter schools and book restrictions. I'm Lee Gaines.
And another story on education in the upcoming election. 5 candidates are seeking election to the school board for the Metropolitan School District of Pike Township in November. From WFYI's Education Desk, Sydney Dauphiné has more.
There are 4 board seats on the ballot. Pike Township has an at-large school board, meaning all board members represent the district in its entirety. The incumbents are Angela Barnes, Matt Hopp, and Nicole Kelly. The challengers are Stephen Hoofer and Tony Wilson. The candidates say they want to balance district finances with the need to address student learning. Candidates who are elected will be on the board until 2028. Pike Township residents can vote for all 4 open seats. Voter registration is open until October 7th, and early voting begins October 8th. Election Day is November 5th. I'm Sydney Dauphiné.
And for our final story today, Indiana's new law governing how political candidates digitally alter campaign materials has come into play with Republican gubernatorial candidate Mike Braun. Braun released an ad against Democrat Jennifer McCormick that manipulated a photo of a McCormick campaign rally into a false image. A 2024 law requires ads that do that to include a disclaimer. Braun's video initially didn't. It was later added on. But the new law doesn't ban campaigns from manipulating photos. Daniel Weiner from the Brennan Center for Justice says that's not necessarily a bad thing. He supports targeted bans of AI and digital alterations and manipulations in campaign materials.
For instance, AI of an election official, telling people to vote on Wednesday. I don't think that sort of communication has any redeeming value, and I think it probably should be prohibited.
Weiner says it can be hard to identify altered images and videos without a disclaimer. He advises voters to check other sources before believing what they see in a single ad.
If something seems implausible, or if it seems like it's getting, an extreme emotional reaction from you, it's always good to take a breath and stop and think.
Jennifer McCormick's campaign called Braun's ad a dishonest distraction. That's all for today's episode of WFYI News Now. Our podcast is produced by Drew Daudelin, with support from the news team at WFYI and public media journalists across the state. Our news director is Sarah Neal-Estes. Kendall Antron produced our music, and I'm your host, Abriana Herron. If you like today's episode, remember to subscribe and share, and follow WFYI on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube to check in on our newsroom throughout the day. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.